Morning, friends. We are meeting again. Welcome to the session. Today's topic is very important topic: signature forgeries, their detection as well as identification. As you know, that forgery, there are two aspects in forged signatures. First, we have to detect forgery, whether a particular disputed signature is genuine or forged. Then, after that, question arises: who committed the forgery? Whether it would be possible to fix the authorship of the forgery or not, that is the second part of the second aspect of signature examination. First of all, let me give the definition of a signature. As per Webster Dictionary, uh, a signature is one's name written by himself or herself on a document as a token of acknowledgement of the contents of some document. And there are three types of signatures basically: formal, complete or correct signature for important valuable documents, then informal cursory signature for routine documents, and careless scribble or short initial for the courier or autograph collector. Uh, Friends, Conway defines the signature, gives a complete definition of the signature, because signature is dependent upon so many things. Signature reflects so many things. A signature is not simply a signature. It is a signature signed at a particular time and place under particular conditions, while the signer was at a particular age, in a particular physical and mental condition, using particular implements, and with a particular reason and purpose for recording his name. These circumstances must follow the evidential signature. They are as integral a part of it as the letters which comprise it. Mind provides only the general impulse, hands know the signature well. Uh, in fact, it is due to perfection in body-mind coordination, which varies from individual to individual. Then, generally, some factors that affect these signatures are, in lesser or greater degree, by injuries to their writing member, illness, advancing age, radical changes in writing incidence, excitement, depression, hurry, unusual writing positions, unaccustomed writing instruments, missing spectacles. This is a very important part. Even I struggle for the spectacles. If I do not have the spectacles with me, I try to work without the spectacles. And certain defects are introduced due to this reason alone. Then intoxication, irritability, heavy medication, and internal deception. These are some of the factors that affect the quality of the signatures. This is as per Conway's book, Evidential Document. You see another of the remark: the signature of our eyes. In other words, the way we look never changes even at the age of 100. This is the other side of signature. And another side of the signature is a check is worth $1,000,000. It is the e-signature of the partner, which is reflected as a lip print
हा
on the
नंतर
cheek.
कर. माझं पण लेक्चर स्टार्ट झालंय. तुला झालं की करते. एक तासाभराच आहे.
Then, friends, all we have done is the definition of forgery. Forgery is, strictly speaking, a legal term which involves not only a non-genuine document but also an intent on the part of its maker to defraud. So there are two things. First, whether the signature is genuine or not, and what is the criminality intent, whether a particular forgery is produced uh, to derive any motive or derive any benefit from that transaction or not. That is also equally important. Then another Webster's definition of forgery is there: false making or alteration of a writing which the legal rights or obligations of another person are apparently affected; simulated signing of another person's name to any such writing, whether or not it is also the forger's name; the production of spurious work which is claimed to be genuine, as a coin, a painting, etc. Then something as a coin, the work or art, a writing produced by forgery. act of fabricating or producing falsely, fictitious invention, deception, or artifice. Then basically the usual types of forgery are forgery produced by tracing, forgery produced by simulation. Simulation means copied, imitated, practiced, or freehand. Then spurious forgery, executed freely and normally without any attempt to copy the model of the real person. Then modern forgery is cut and paste or copy and paste synthetic signature. The signature from one document, one genuine document, are transplanted on the other through electronic means. Then, as per the Harrison's book on suspect documents, the forged signatures have been grouped into seven categories. Four signatures attempt has been made to make a copy of the genuine signature of the person purporting to sign the document. This is very important because no attempt of copying has been made. So hence, in such case, its detection as well as identification becomes somewhat easier. Then forged signatures of non-existence or fictitious persons. The person whose signatures have been forged either non-exist or name is fictitious. The forged signatures which closely resemble the genuine signature since they have been produced by a tracing process. There is some difficulty in detection and identification of such signatures because they resemble the genuine model signatures of the person. They have been copied, they have been imitated, either physically placing the model before the person or by memory. The model might have been memorized by the person due to practice, and that model may be contained in the invisible part of the brain somewhere. So from where it is temporarily retrieved and from memory, and forgery is done from that. Then forged signature which resemble the genuine signature written freehand to produce what is known as simulated forgery. It is a simulated forgery, that is imitation. It's not tracing process. Tracing means directly placing one signature over the other through transmitted light or through some carbon method or some other translucent paper method. So simulated forgery is physically copying or imitating the signature from the model by memory or by seeing the model physically. Then there are other three categories also of signatures which are in fact which may be legally forged, but from expert point of view they are not forged signatures. For example, genuine signatures which have been obtained by trickery. You see, about hundreds of documents are presented to an officer together. So in that file, some document are deliberately introduced to get them signed without his knowledge. So those are signatures obtained by trickery. Since there is a criminality part in that, so that signature is also a legally forged signature, though from expert point of view, it is a genuine signature because the person has signed that document also in normal course along with other routine documents. The genuine signatures which the writers are honestly unwilling to accept as genuine. These are also from expert point of view genuine signatures, but legally speaking, they are forged signatures because they are their authenticity is disputed. Then genuine signatures which have been deliberately written illegibly or in an unusual manner so as to afford the signatory some plausible grounds for disclaiming them should they deem it expedient. It means intention to deny the signatures at a later date deliberately. Signatures are genuine, but deliberately some disguise or some other things or illegibility is introduced in those signatures. So then specifically, let me discuss the salient features of traced forgery. In traced forgery, model signature is essential, and the forger would make use of a transparent paper to trace the outline of the signature from the genuine model and reproduce it on another document by overwriting that trace portion. Then tracing could be by a carbon directly, by indentation, or by projection. Then trace forgery can be detected symptoms of forgery and evidence of tracing are normally present, because if there is a outline or indentation, that could be seen under the stereo microscope or in side light, oblique light. And trace forgery, because trace forgery is a drawing rather than the usual handwriting, it's generally not possible to fix the authorship of forgery with the writing of the suspect. This is a practical example of a trace forgery without guideline. This is a actual case which I had actually examined. The case was referred from High Court of Delhi in Hyderabad. So 6 pages of document contained 6 disputed signatures of somebody. So you see, Q1 serial number 1 is a question signature marked as Q1. Then serial number 2 is a superimposition of question signature. You see, all the signatures are superimposing. You see, there are 2 close dimensions to the extent that they are virtually superimposing. 100% superimposition will never be there, because there would be imperfection even in superimposition. So, but all these signatures are superimposing over each other, which indicates that they are 4 signatures. Since 2 or more signatures, if they are identical, the extent of superimposition would never be genuine, because there will be no natural variation in those signatures. So on the right hand side, it is a juxtaposition chart. The question signatures are shown, and on specimen signatures of the real person are also shown. So the question signatures are slow and drawn in execution. They are devoid of natural variation and show fundamental differences vis-a-vis the specimen signature. Hence, the question signatures are not genuine, they are the traced imitations. Now the question comes, how to report such a cases? Which landing should be given? Should we clearly say that the question signature were not written by the writer of the specimen signatures? So I will show you the sample of the language sample of the report which I have experienced in such a case. You see, this is the opinion part. You see how it has been reported. The inter-se examination of question signatures marked Q1 to Q6 and the comparison with the specimen signatures marked S1 using different light arrangements such as incident light, oblique light, transmitted light, UV and IR, with the help of scientific instruments like angle Poise lamp. Angle Poise lamp is simply incident light. Magnifying glasses, stereo microscope, and visual spectral comparator. It reveals that the question signatures marked Q1 to Q6 are found to have 2 close dimensions to the extent of their superimposition. Such a close resemblance does not occur in genuine signatures of a person produced by natural neuromuscular as blunt starts and endings. These are the normal symptoms of forgery. Then the said question signatures also show fundamental differences vis-a-vis the specimen signatures marked S1, which has been described in the report. Then collective consideration of the aforesaid features leads me to the opinion that the question signatures marked Q1 to Q6 are traced imitations, which were not written by the writer of the specimen signatures marked S1. So the comparison juxtapose chart as well as superimposition chart both were enclosed with the report, and I think the opinion was as such accepted by the Honorable High Court, and no summons were issued to the expert for appearance, because the report was so convincing. It was very demonstrative, and it must have been collaborated by other witnesses. So the opinion was as such accepted, and there was no need of evidence. Then this is the simple example of trace forgery. You see, on the left hand side is the modern signature, and on right hand side is the trace forgery. It could have been produced by projection tracing. Then a practical case of trace forgery. So I had examined way back in 2005 a case of check stolen from Dropbox. The nature of the check was changed from account pay to cash payment mode by forging the signature of the drawer from the genuine model appearing as Q1 being the drawer signature on this check. So the similar signature were produced as Q2, where the endorsement was changed, crossing cancelled pay cash. So this signature was produced by tracing. And the signature on the back of this check was Q3. It was also conforming to the same dimensions as Q1 and Q2. When I tried to examine them inter se and tried to superimpose, it was found that superimposition was identical. So here is the uh, superimposable physical dimensions of the signature with minute effects in line quality and without physical presence of marks of tracing. Without physical presence of marks of tracing, it is important. So it appears that the signature was produced by either by projection or by some electronic means, other electronic means. No guideline was present, no indentation was present. So you see, this is a rule square method which was discussed yesterday by Rajinder Verma. So I had also used the same method to demonstrate the similarity in dimensions here, although they were also superimposing. Then similar case of another check that was shown from Dropbox was examined on similar lines. You see, all the three signatures, top signature, first signature is genuine, signature of the drawer, and the lower, both the signatures are trace signature from this Q1. So they were showing two close similarities and rather superimposable qualities, so indicating thereby that both the signatures, the downward signatures were prepared by tracing from Q1. So opinion on similar lines was expressed. So then it is here is another case where superimposition was demonstrated in another case in trace forgeries. You see, number one is signature Q2. Then signature Q2, and on the right hand side, black and white mode, it's the signature Q1. They are the isolated signature, single signature. So all others are superimposed one over the other in video spectral comparator. So you see the perfect superimposition. Even the dimensions, if there was any variation, those were adjusted to superimpose in the video spectral comparator. Then it is an excellent example of forgery. You see, signature A is genuine signature, and signature B was produced from this genuine model by imitation, by what you call simulation. So you see, if even an expert is supplied with a single signature B for examination in comparison with the genuine signature of that person, I think most of the laymen and even some of the untrained experts may commit an error. If a single signature is supplied for examination, signature B, however, if both the signatures are supplied, if two signatures are supplied, then it would be easier to detect the forgery because both will bear a close resemblance to each other to the extent of superimposition. You see here, since a genuine model is available, we can make out that both are superimposable over each other. So signature B was superimposed, was produced from signature A by tracing. But you see the how perfect the tracing is. I think this forgery has been committed by a master forger just for the exhibition of skill and not for any criminal intent. So here the lower signature B bears a very close resemblance to the upper genuine signature. The line quality is poor, notably in connection with the upper loop of letter J. You see the upper loop of letter J in B and compare it with that in signature A. And the next character, letter A, you see the long curved down stroke of letter A, you compare it between A and B. Thus in signature B, there is some wavy stroke or tremulous strokes. In the lower portion of the figure, the same pair of signatures is shown photographed under a transparent scale, a ruled square method. From this, it can be seen that signature B is an identical replica of A. This indicates that not only B is a forgery, but that it must have been produced by tracing from the genuine signature A in order to achieve such identity of form. So in fact, this is not a original criminal forgery, I presume, because level of perfection is too high, which becomes problematic even for some of the experts. Without careful and thorough examination using the stereo microscope and perfect superimposition technique, the study of pressure variations. You see the pressure variations in the genuine signature and in the copied signature will definitely be different. You see the thick and thin strokes, those are observed in the signature A. They are not observed at most of the places in the signature B, which indicates that there are no pressure variations which are important in a writer of such a high skill. Then comes the simulated forgeries, salient features. Modern signature is essential either physically or by memory, and by the process of copying oblique imitation practiced and freehand. Difficult to forge successfully and detect at first glance. The symptoms of imitation normally available, but they are devoid of natural variation. Extent and range of natural variations cannot be introduced by the forger. It is a limitation of the forger because the forger is unaware of such things. Forgery can be established after careful and thorough microscopic examination. Evidence of writing features of the forger are rare to find. Why? Because it is copied, it is imitated. So forger's own writing characteristics would be rare to find. Hence, fixing the authorship of such forgery is an exception rather than the rule, as stated by the authorities. In majority of the cases, the authorship of this such forged signature, in comparison with the writing of the suspect, cannot be made successfully. Either an indication can be given, or it cannot be given at any level. However, in some of the cases, the forger may be foolish enough to leave his own trace in the forgery. So, if the features found there are found to be sufficient and significant, then the authorship of the forgery could be established. Of course, within the level of evidence that is available from the court signature. It is also most common method of forgery. Then you see the usual differentiation between genuine and forged signature is the defective line quality. Most of the time, the defective line quality produced by tracing or produced by simulation shows generally wavy strokes indicating induced tremor, which is definitely different from the natural tremor of the person. It will not be consistently found. It will be selective in nature. So you see here, the top two signatures are genuine signature, and the bottom two signatures have been produced by imitation. You see, last signature is a magnified view of the third signature. You see on the microscopic level how the strokes are different. They are wavy strokes showing fake tremor. The start and endings are blunt. You see here, blunt start, blunt ending, and then here this is pen pause or pen lift, which is suspicious. And then here you see wavy strokes here. Then here again blunt ending. So these are the usual defects of forging. Then it is actually practically we have been able to establish the authorship of the forgery in such a case. And this case was reported by me in International Journal of Forensic Document Examiners way back in perhaps in the year 2000 or 2001. So you see, these are the question signatures. Some of the question signatures, there were in fact 26 question signatures. So these are the sample signatures of the real person. You compare the question signature with the sample signature of the real person. You see the quality of signatures is totally different from between the question and this standard signature. Skill level is also different. You see, basically the question signatures are showing relatively higher order of skill. You see the letter B here. Here, the finish of the letter B round portion is at the top. Here, it is going below and again showing a retrace there. This is a peculiar thing. And there are so many other differences. So there are differences in line quality, there are differences in skill, there are differences in some of the in minute and inconspicuous features of letter formation, of which the not even the real person or the suspect can be aware of. So then these are the sample writings of the suspect person as Prabhat Kumar. So when I examine and compare the question signature of vis-a-vis this specimen writing, I find too many similarities. See the letter B here, see the letter B here, similarity. See the commencement of underscoring here, see the commencement of, you see location of finish here, you see this is also matching. See, another point of difference between the question and the standard signature was marvelous difference. You see, it was a general habit of the writer, real person, retrace in the finish, and curved finish, because he wanted to connect it with this subsequent dot. That is why the finish became curved. This feature could not be known to the forger and could not be copied by the forger. You see here, it is totally different. This is the main hidden difference which expert can find out. So here there are so many similarities. You see letter B, you see letter T, you see letter H. These are different from the real person and similar with the suspect person. So on the basis of this material, I could definitely say that the question signature were not written by the real person. They were in fact written by the writing of the suspect. Then another case of forgery, simulated forgery, which had been examined in GQD Shimla. Its authorship has been eliminated vis-a-vis the real person and fixed vis-a-vis the specimen writing of the suspect. Similarly, you see there are so many differences. This case has been recently reported for publication in journal and has been accepted for publication in Arab Journal of Forensic Science and Forensic Medicine. It will appear perhaps in December 2020 edition. So this paper has been written jointly by myself and Mr. MC Joshi from Shimla. So you see there is a juxtaposed comparison chart. So these are some of the features those were extracted from the question signatures. These are the specimen, you see peculiarities from the real person, and these are the peculiarities of those characters taken from the suspect. Clearly, this part of the question signature could not be followed by the suspect. The real person was in the habit of writing downward commencement of this letter, followed by a retrace, and followed by formation of the next stroke in continuation, in single operation of movement. The forger could not be aware of such a complex movement, so they simply produce it in two operations of movement you see here. Similarly, this similarity was found with the writing of the suspect. Another feature, letter B here. You see the letter B, it is different with the real person and show similarity with the suspect. Similarly, other characters. Based on a collective combination of these features, I could link the authorship of the question signatures with the specimen writing of the person. Of course, 100% opinion could not be given. I had opined that there is a strong possibility of the suspect being the author of the question signatures. Then spurious signatures bearing little resemblance to modern signatures. Salient features of the spurious signatures. They bear little resemblance of the modern signature. So in fact, from expert point of view, they are the normal writing of the suspect without any attempt to copy. So their authorship can be fixed. Non-availability of model, when the available is not available to the forger, then sometimes he forges the signatures in his own handwriting. It's a freehand forgery, may not have relevance with the genuine signature. It depicts individual writing habits of the forger. Forger can be fixed, identified, connecting with the forger. So in most cases, it represents the normal handwriting style of the suspect. Hence, its authorship can usually be fixed or linked with the forged handwriting, subject to the nature of evidence that is available from the documents. So then another practical cases of spurious forgery. You see these are the question signature on the left hand side. On top, it is the suspect signature of the real person. You see the difference, vast difference in skill. The question signatures are showing a comparatively higher order of skill than that of the real person. Here is the specimen signatures of the specimen writings of the suspect rather, written as Jagbir. So even if the signature of the real person are not available to me, I could, without uh, any doubt, I can say not as signature, but simply as writing, that the question and the standard writing show characteristic similarities in writing habits, indicating their common authorship. I will not label it as signature. I can simply say that both the question and the standard writing, in all probability, were written by one and the same person. So this is the nature of the spurious nature of the document. Even suspects' signature are not necessary for examination by the expert. So English forgery or by the same person. You see here, skill Hindi and English skill is similar rather. You see here the question signatures in English, and you see the how much downward in the level of skill of the suspect signature, real person, and then you see the resemblance in skill, and you see in all identifying characteristics which are found similar with the writing of the suspect. Likewise, its authorship can also be fixed simply just ignoring the specimen signature of the real person. Simply, we can definitely directly say that the question and the standard writing in all probability were written by one and the same person. Then another type of forgery is the modern forgery that you call copy-paste forgery or synthetic forgery. It is simply transplant the signature from one genuine document to the forged document. Simply, it could be done by scanner. In that case, it will not be original signature. It will show the properties of a toner or a liquid toner. Then photoelectronic process, scanning, photocopying, then by mechanical process, a facsimile of signature could also be used. Signature stamp could be produced, which could be used on different documents. Then careful microscopic examination of question signature can reveal the non-original nature of the signature. This type of forgery is not so difficult to detect. Microscope, stereoscopic microscope, video spectral comparator are helpful to differentiate the forged signature from the genuine signature. Then another example of actual example of synthetic forgery. You see the signature mark Q1 question signature. These are in fact imaginary outline was created. Very faint outline was created electronically below this signature, and later on the signature was inked, overwritten by the ink subsequently to camouflage the outline below it. So when I examined it in video spectral comparator, you see I found the traces of the faint guideline. You see just like dots black you are seeing. You see here black dots. You see the uninked portion. You see here. You see here clearly. This is a marvelous example of a guideline produced by you see a scanner and printer. Very fading, very fade guideline, which could not be detected in the normal course. It was overwritten with the thick pen or thick ink. Then this is the simple signature produced by scanning and transplanted on the fraudulent document. So what are the inherent signs of forgery? Slow in execution, hesitation in production, pen lifts at unusual places, and careful retouchings. Careful retouching. If they are careless retouching, then that is a sign of genuineness. Blunt starts and finishes. Of course, we have to see them in comparison with the skill of the writer also. These cannot be taken as a blindly the signs of forgery. We have to keep the skill of the person in mind also. Then suitability of standards. Adequate standards are necessary. Comparable like with like material should be there. Similar to the question signatures are essential. Freely executed specimen writings are to be obtained from the suspect. Then analysis of the forged signature can be done. Forgery is detected and established by comparison with the signature of the real person. Type of forgery to be determined in normal course. It is not absolutely essential to determine the type of forgery. Even if the type of forgery cannot be determined, it could make out whether the signature is genuine or forged, and comparison with the similar writing of the suspect forger in case of simulated forgery. And if authorship can be fixed, identifying features of the forger, must be present in suitable and sufficient number in the writing of the suspect. Then possibility of intended disguise is also to be kept in mind. Range of natural variation is to be accounted for, and fundamental and basic differences in writing habits would be found in forged signatures. And peculiar characteristics of the forger may sometimes be present in the forged signature, on the basis of which authorship of the forged signatures could be either indicated or linked with the writing of the suspect. Then expert's opinion is relevant. Such problems should not be examined by the layman. The help of the expert should be taken, and even expert cannot express on all the cases. There are limitations, and there are some cases where data is not suitable and sufficient, and clear-cut opinion cannot be given by the experts. Then you see the term forgery and forger, where are used by the expert to only indicate the opposite of the term genuine, because expert have nothing to do with the intent to forgery, intent to defraud, criminal intent. This is beyond the prerogative of the expert. This is within the prerogative of the court of law. Then general suggestion not to jump to any conclusion. Forgery cannot be presumed on mere denial of the person. Basic knowledge of concepts is required. Expert service must be essentially utilized. Guidance and advice for collecting proper standard material to be sought if required. Then can we give a 2-minute break, madam?
Yes,
Sure, sir.
yes, sir.
Deliberately combined it. You see, it is relevant to discuss the characteristics of genuine and forged signatures based on the views of what Osborne has stated in the question document. You see, theory and practical go side by side, and what seems to be theory written in the Osborne book is based upon empirical studies and actual experimentation done by the author. So it is also a practical aspect. So all these things we are following religiously and with belief. So you see, there is a suggestion written in Osborne's book. Technical printed language like poetry is better understood and appreciated if read aloud. You see, the implication of this is, practically speaking, I consider this suggestion to be very relevant. If I just ask you to read a chapter from Osborne for a group discussion on the following day, I'm sure most of you will fail to comply. That's why I am discussing important quotes from the Osborne treatise today to ignite the spark and generate interest, inspiring you to read this book at least once. You see, proof of genuineness and proof of forgery in a disputed document. First thing is that evidence of genuineness of all kinds is in all ways just the opposite of evidence of forgery. The most common symptom of forgery is not divergence in form, but a drawn and hesitating quality of stroke or line, particularly at certain parts of letters that should be freely written, indicating that during the writing act, attention was given to the details of the writing. Just the opposite conditions of line quality indicate genuineness. You think over, you read it and read it between the lines and think over. It's a very beautiful expression. Then another thing, flying starts and flying finishes are found in free natural writing, and as a rule are important indications of genuineness. See, what are flying starts and flying finishes? During the act of writing, movement of the pen starting in air even before touching the paper results in flying starts, and that continuing even after leaving the paper results in flying or tapering finishes. Just opposite is the sign of forgery. Blunt starts and blunt endings of a highly skilled writer are definite indications of forgery. Then next thing, you see the language, how beautiful the language is. Anything of any kind about a writing that indicates that the writer was not thinking of the process of writing itself is evidence of genuineness. You see, the writer was not conscious of the writing. Yani writing was being automatically and unconsciously produced. That is evidence of genuineness. Natural writing comes to be so nearly automatic that it is almost unconscious. Then when writing shows by any quality or in any way that it is the result of unconscious habit, this always is a forceful indication of genuineness. Then another thing, simplifications, abbreviations, distorted and illegible forms which are sufficiently free and rapid often actually indicate genuineness. Why? Because they are carelessly written. They are not carefully drawn. They are carelessly written. That is why they are signs of genuineness. Then another thing is, due to weakness of age or disease, parts of a genuine signature may be clumsily written over a second time, not just at the same place and in a way which clearly shows that the writer either could not see or was careless. It means there is a careless retouching in order to correct it carelessly. Such careless, bold retouching, unlike the painstaking, careful and delicate retouching of the forger, often indicates genuineness. You see, the distinction is clear here. If the retouchings are careless and bold, they are signs of genuineness. And if they are labored, careful and delicate, they are signs of forgery. Then another proof of genuineness is an obvious failure of the pen to write because of its poor condition or because of inadequate ink supply is some evidence that the writing is not a forgery. A forger usually writes after thoroughly verifying the condition of the writing instrument. This is my observation. The forger is psychologically constrained to ensure that he has taken due care not to leave any stone unturned for successful production of forgery. That is why it is a sign of genuineness. If otherwise, it becomes a sign of forgery. Unusual illegibility and the failure to rewrite or correct obvious ink failures in an illegible or incomplete signature is another indication of genuineness. Then, when a suspected and standard writing are alike in delicate line quality, which is due to delicate variation in pen pressure or unconscious shading, this conformity often is a strong evidence of genuineness. It means if there is a variation in pen pressure due to speed and due to natural movement, it is a sign of genuineness. If otherwise, it is a sign of non-genuineness. If the suspected and standard signatures agree as regards the skillful shading, its location and gradation of pen pressure, this is an evidence of genuineness because skillful shading requires correct pen position, which is very difficult, if not impossible, to imitate. You see, skillful shading depends on pen location and pen position and pen pressure. Now, this part has lost its significance because shading is rarely found. It used to be there in the nib pen, which split in two parts while writing. So even in modern day fountain pens, the writing tip is rigid, and such shading is rare to find. Then, if the several lines of a disputed document or several signatures show the natural variations of writing of the same word or letter, all of course within the scope of the genuine writing, this variation itself is as strong evidence of genuineness as the opposite condition is evidence of forgery. You see, if natural variations are present between the similar letters written at different times, this is a sign of genuineness. If the writing is devoid of natural variation, if natural variation is somehow absent, it's a evidence of forgery. Then you see, what is the proof of forgery? The fundamental and usual defect of forgery is not divergence in form. Why? Because a person could have two varieties of the same letter at his command, and yet these may be different, but still they could have been written by one and the same person. But in its place, a defective line quality, that is a sure signs of forgery. Close scrutiny of line quality alone often furnishes the basis for grave suspicion that a signature is not genuine. Then you see the beauty of the language. Developed natural writing is an almost automatic act and follows the fixed grooves of habit. But as soon as attention is given to it, it necessarily becomes strained and unnatural. The nicety of adjustment of an impulse. What is an impulse? You see particular emphasis at a particular point in a curved stroke. There is a slight pause, not even pause, जिसको ठुमका बोलते हैं डांस का, स्लाइट ठुमका टाइप चीज जो आती है उसको impulse बोलते हैं. That nicety of adjustment of impulse is disturbed when muscles become tense as the result of an extra effort, and the best results can be achieved only when the muscles are relaxed so that all work in harmony. Then another very important thing, many kinds of acquired skill become as automatic as walking or speech. Even walking is a habit, speech is a habit, they are automatic habits, they are unconscious habits, and are carried to the point where the process not only not requires any guidance, but is actually almost beyond control of the mind and hand. So handwriting is a conspicuous example of habit of this kind and simply cannot be assumed or discarded at will, as I told you in my earlier lecture. Then another thing you see, if the imitator possesses a skill superior to that of the writer of the writing imitator, which in some instances is the fact, the forgery may show a higher degree of muscular control than is exhibited in the genuine writing imitator. Such an inconsistency in strength and firmness in a disputed writing or signature may indicate that the writing or signature is not genuine. As I told you earlier in my earlier lecture, a writer cannot exceed his maximum writing ability or skill, of course, without serious efforts and training applied over a period of time. So then, committing forgery with or without criminal extent, there's a difference. Forgery as an exhibition of skill. An actual criminal forgery undoubtedly is a poorer piece of work than could be expected by the same writer as an exhibition of skill. This is the quote of Osborne. And my explanation in this is, while committing actual forgery with ulterior motive and intent to defraud, usually there's a psychological conflict between the inner self and outer self of the writer, creating a peculiar to do or not to do situation, resulting in a poorer level of performance. Because criminality part is actually missing in some of the forgeries meant to demonstrate the exhibition of forging skills of the master forger, their perfection level is comparatively higher, and therefore such forgeries are more difficult to detect without a thorough and scientific expert examination. You see, the later part is important. They are more difficult to detect, but if they are seen thoroughly and scientifically using the scientific equipment with an open mind and with a trained eye, such forgeries could also be detected. So then, you see, this is a part of the latest research paper which we have sent for some publication, which I indicated earlier. To see what are the factors that are affecting the successful identification of simulated forgeries. Fixing the authorship of simulated forgeries, simulated signatures. It is dependent upon several factors. First of that is degree of simulation. The more accurate the simulation or imitation is, the fewer of the forger's own writing habits remain that could be found in the forged signature. Then it also depends on the skill of the forger. If the forger is skillful enough to avoid his own subtle writing habits into the forgery, the chances of his identification are far less than if it is otherwise. Then it also depends on the number of simulated signatures. If there is a single simulated signature, it's difficult to detect and identify. More the number of simulations, more the chances of departure from the copied model, and consequently easier to detect and identify the simulation. Of course, subject to the availability of suitable and sufficient data. Then another factor that affects is the availability of contemporaneous standards of the real person of similar model and design. The detection of simulated forgery could be made much easier if adequate standards of the real person are provided for comparison. Then availability of the copied model. The detection of the actual model used in simulated forgery can be both a boon and a bane for the forensic examiner. A comparison with the authentic model will reveal the extent and manner in which forgery differs from the genuine signature. Further, if there is sufficient deviation from the copied model, the simulation may facilitate a comparison with the known handwriting of the suspect. The next factor that affects is the availability of freely written dictated specimen writings of the suspect forger. It is the most difficult part and most important part. The task of procurement of dictated handwriting specimens of the suspect forger corresponding to the copied or assumed model is never too easy, because the forger cannot be compelled to write the forged signatures specimens of somebody else, as that amounts to creating an evidence which may ultimately be used against the suspect himself. However, it depends on the capability and skill of the investigator. In some cases, the IOs could actually succeed to convince the suspects to give such handwriting specimens freely and voluntarily. And availability of pre-existing admitted writings of the suspect may also be helpful in some cases. Then, one of the most important factors, practical experience, skill, and competency of the forensic examiner has also a direct bearing on the identifiability of the simulated forgeries. You see, some experts who are novice, who do not have enough experience of laboratory examination as well as court presentation, would commit error in such cases, or they may not have courage to identify, because all the authorities say that as a rule such forgery cannot be identified. Only in exceptional cases such forgery could be identified. So in view of complexity and intricacy of issues involved in such cases, the evaluation and interpretation of those handwriting features that are present due to simulation and those that are unconsciously left by the forger, and evolving appropriate opinion therefrom, is an extremely difficult task. Hence, correct decision making in such cases also depends upon the professional expertise, skill, competency, and experience of the examiner concerned. So these were the factors those were responsible, and I am deliberately showing you the title of this book because I want to inspire you to read it. You see, these are my today's comments. Just see the beauty of this book. My association with her started 44 years ago. She continues to give me the same pleasure every time I open the book. I may have exhausted my honey, but she has not yet lost her charm. Every encounter with her looks like a virtual honeymoon. So these are the suggested readings or references, you could say: Huber and Hedrick's book, P.L. Saxena's book, Wilson Harrison's book, Kelly's book, Gregory's book, and of course Osborne's book. 2 chapters are very important, one on simulated forgeries and one on trace forgeries, and a attached chapter regarding the proof of genuineness or proof of forgery. These are some of the well-meaning forgery codes. They are not completely off the remark. They bear some relevance to the forgery and the forged signatures. Read and think it over. Everything that glitters more than gold is not gold. You see, forger is his own critic. It means the forger is his own critic. Performing excellently in forgery is his ultimate aim. That's why sometimes he exceeds his limitations in committing forgery. And that is the point where he's caught. You see, another thing, the forger was too exacting, too superficial. Only the real artist has the false beginning. You see, it has also a similarity of what I told you earlier. What are the differences between genuine and forged signature? Then, to an untrained eye, need and love were as mistaken for each other as the real masters of painting and a forgery. An artist does things naturally without effort. Some invisible power guides his hand. A forger struggles, and if he succeeds, it becomes a genuine achievement. It also bears some, relevance with the detection of forgery. Think it over. And art is the signature of civilizations. Then time to say goodbye, friends. Some of the most fake things are a signature, love, a smile, happiness, an orgasm, intelligence, and good skin. Friends, thanks for